New Under the Sun with none other than Miss Cora Masters Berry. But before we start tonight's show, let's look at this great video.
Cora Masters Berry, welcome to the 14th Annual Southeast Tennessee Learning Center Blacks and Wax. It's a little different this year because we're doing virtual, and it's going to be powerful, so we want you to join us, enjoy it, learn, rejoice, cry, but also be informed and be empowered, because this is Vote Your Choice, Your Life.
That subtitle, Vote Your Choice, Your Life, made it imperative to produce the 14th Annual Blacks in Wax, a collaboration with DC Department of Parks and Recreation and the Recreation Wishlist Committee. Blacks in Wax started as an alternative method for educating youth about African American history. But it has become an inspiring, must-see event that spotlights history in the making. So in the midst of a pandemic, civil unrest, and an election approaching, the show must go on. Production began, rehearsals reconvened, virtually of course, and the green screen was set. In true SETLC fashion, the scholars of Southeast Tennis and Learning Center brought their A game and delivered a prolific rendition of Blacks in Wax, an event you don't want to miss.
Well, welcome my special guests, scholars of the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center, and the writer, Sheba Friedman Burke. I just want to say thank you and welcome here to Nothing New Under the Sun. And of course, all of you are young geniuses. We want you to claim your victory and definitely know that there is greatness in you, and don't ever let anybody take anything away, and know that your Blackness is your pride, is your conviction, to your intelligence, and to all the success that will continue. But to you, Miss Berry, where did all this begin?
Well, before I was the CEO of my nonprofit, the Recreation Wishlist Committee, which built the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center, I was a 20-year tenured professor at the University of the District of Columbia. And I taught Black politics, among other things, and I've always been a Black historian. And so when I left the university to be First Lady, and then I built this building, I said, well, just because I'm not on the, at the university, you know, I can still talk to the kids about being Black. So we tried for a few years to do Black History Month, and I couldn't keep their attention. I tried everything, videos, lectures. And so one year I said, well, why don't we try to act it out? And we went in the library, had a nice little show. Everybody loved it. The next year we went into what we call the round room or multi-purpose room. And that went on for a few years. And then we left there and went to the tennis court and turned that into an auditorium. And then we looked up, Reggie Van Lee discovered us, and now we are on the stage. And I think for about the last 10, 12 years, we've been on the stage at the Kennedy Center and at the Arc. So it started very organically, like most of the things that go on with this organization.
You make it seem very simple, but I know it's not. Sheba, you have a long history of connecting with celebrities, power players, and the Black entertainment. How does that experience relate to this phenomenal, beautiful, cultural Blacks in Wax?
Well, Munson, thank you for having me. Thank you, Mrs. Berry. What I think I've been able to do is every experience that I've had as a journalism major, as a writer, as even as a fundraiser, as an artist management, I'm able to kind of use that experience to help work with these young people. So it's been a pleasure to really help develop the program from where it was into the round room, something smaller, to like bringing in visuals and deciding, kind of condensing the script, taking that vignette and expanding it. It helps me as well. I've been learning history. Some of it is already my history as well. So it's really good to be able to share that and to see what kind of stage presence is needed sometimes. You know, having managed singers and having managed, you know, other kind of entertainers and been in the concert business, like really looking at the whole picture. So that's kind of what I do. I'm kind of a whole picture person, I think.
It's wonderful to have experience. I think you say try. Here on Nothing New Under the Sun, nobody tries. You're committed, you're a professional, you show up. There's one rule all of you young scholars take away: the show must always go on. And so I'm here to let you know, Sheba, you have always done that. And we appreciate that because this is a whole testament of what you and Miss Berry have put together. Now, for the
Can
true
I just say one thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to say one thing. I listened to Sheba and I kind of started smiling because Sheba always had that standard because that was her work. But as we went through the journey of producing Blacks in Wax, I mean, she had to pull me along, not in terms of substance, but in terms of production. I mean, 1 year we had one microphone, we passed it around. 1 year we had a microphone hanging from, finally I just threw up my hands and I just tried to go out there and raise some more money. And that's when we started, you know, really doing, I'd say, Broadway level production. But it took a minute. It didn't happen overnight. I mean, she knew, but I kept saying, well, no, that costs too much money. Maybe we could just do it like this. No, we can't afford that. Maybe we could just do it like that. So now it's like, I don't even know what I was doing back then, but we're all in now.
All right. And it's so phenomenal and inspiring, and it touches my heart to see the very body of work that is here. And on to the true stars of the event, the young scholars who delivered these amazing performances. I'm going to start with the youngest of all, Zora Lawson.
His name was George Floyd. And I'm not too young to know that it isn't fair and it isn't right. And there will be no peace if there is no justice for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland, Tanisha Anderson, Philando Castile, and the list goes on. We must fight. We have to make sure if you are old enough to vote, you will practice that right. Please vote. Make the right choice because your life depends on it. And so does mine. And his, and hers, and his, and hers.
Zora, you are a natural at this. How long have you been performing at Blacks in Wax? And what was your first role? Zora?
My first role was Queen Nefertiti, and I've been in Blacks in Wax since I was 2 years old.
Miss Berry?
How old are you now?
I'm 8 years old.
So before we get started, I want you to know that one of the greatest queens of Africa from the very beginning was Queen Nefertiti. And we have the youngest member of the Blacks in Wax program. Her name is Zora Asali Lawson, and she has something to say. Hands up. What do you have to say, Zora?
My people.
All right, people. And sit back and enjoy it. Thank you.
Zora, who else have you played?
I've played the Little Misty Copeland, Alicia Keys, Rosa Parks, Naomi Wadler, and this year I played Ida B. Wells, also myself.
Wow, I see we have a young Jesse Jackson here. And let's take a look. Jacob Poole, Let's take a look at this young Jesse Jackson.
Rocks just laying around. Vote your choice. Stop being rocks just laying around. Your time has come. Pick up your slingshot. Pick up your rock. Declare our time has come. A new day has begun. Red, yellow, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Our time has come.
What's going on, Jacob?
Nothing much.
Well, good. Seemed like a whole lot to me. You and Jesse seem to have a kindred spirit and leadership. I see that in your eyes. I see the books behind you, so I know you're a great student. But I also want to know, you've been able to meet that person that you portrayed. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was able to meet Jesse Jackson when I performed at I think the Howard Theater near Ben's Chili Bowl, the original. And I performed right in front of him on stage. Like, we came up at the same time. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty experience that I could put under my belt right now. Also, I got to meet other of the people I performed, like Lonnie Bunch and Roland Martin.
That is excellent. Jacob, what has Blacks in Wax process taught you?
It had taught me that I could do another thing outside of sports, because I play tennis, and that's a profession I want to thrive in. But now I know that I could do something else to fall back on if tennis or sports don't work out for me.
What? Miss Berry, these kids are at your tennis center.
Absolutely.
Sheba, so you write the scripts. How do you decide on the characters and the content?
So it's a process. We first start with a theme. These children represent the vignette, because we also have a museum segment. So a lot of times we have over 60 kids, but in the vignette, we're usually around 20. So whatever the total thing of the program is, when Mrs. Berry and I must tell you that the universe, the world presents itself. And so we are imitating life, really. This is a year of voting. That wasn't a hard thing for us to figure out what we would talk about. So once we look at what the theme is, then we have to look at who are these African Americans, who are these people, or Americans also, that are important in this conversation. And so then we start looking at, and we try to make it, but we make it historical in terms of there's a timeline, but it's kind of mixed up in there. And these young people are portraying as they go along. And in their conversations, they're not necessarily having conversations with each other, but a lot of times they just grow and they piggyback on one another. So we'll go all the way back to what happened with voting with Frederick Douglass. So it's a story.
It's so beautiful. I just look at Jacob and see how proud he was, and that he knows that Jesse Jackson has made an impact on the world, and he has played. So he knows that your destiny, based on playing him, is to affect the world, as all of you are. Ms. Berry, where does name Blacks in Wax come from?
Well, again, almost everything that happens with this journey that I'm on with the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center happens organically. So after we had the library success, we said, well, we'll start doing it in the round room. And we just didn't know, what to call it. And one of the tutors at that time said, well, there's a museum in Baltimore called Blacks in Wax. And so the kids in the museum that Sheba made reference to, there's a vignette, and these kids you see are in a vignette. It's like a mini play, but also there's about 30 or 40 kids lined up in the hallway behind ropes and stanza and total makeup, costume, hair, and they're frozen. And you have to hit a light. And when you hit the light, they come alive. So that's, that is the crux of it. So that is as engaging and as educational and inspirational and fun to watch as the vignette. We usually, when we're at the Kennedy Center, we're on the Millennium stage, And as you walk through the Hall of States, you'll see these Black kids and in these period costumes behind rope and stanza. And you know, we usually play to about 1,000 people easily because of that. So it came very organically.
Yeah, and Jacob wasn't the only one to meet a person that they portrayed. Benet Biddick has had that opportunity too.
Look, this can't be another woulda, coulda, shoulda election. We can't let this happen again, not at this time. Take it from me, Hillary Clinton. We need Americans to vote in every state for every election. Remember, Rosa Parks sat so Dr. King could walk. Dr. King walked so Barack Obama could run. Barack Obama ran so all the children could fly. And John Lewis put his life on the line over and over again for all of us. So please vote so we can make a real change.
Great job, Ms. Benet.
Thank you.
You know, you did a wonderful job in that. But how do you prepare and literally portray each character differently?
Research, research, research. It's all about the research. I had to read articles about who my characters really were. For example, I had to research about things that they like, things that they don't like, things that make them excited, where they're from. And I also had to watch videos in order to make a perfect portrayal of who my characters were. For example, I had to see what their hand gestures were, if they had spaces in between their sentences, and yeah.
I love it. I love it. Studying is important when you're definitely understanding a character. And Miss Berry has poured so much into you, and I see the smile. You're made for the stage, and you're made to be a leader. I see that already. But there's another Biddick in the house. Let's see who he portrayed.
As a young John Lewis, I loved hearing the sermons of Dr. King. They were my inspiration and encouraged me to act on changes I wanted to see. In 1957, I helped to organize sit-ins at segregated lunch counters. I was arrested during these demonstrations, which upset my mother, who always said, "Don't get in trouble, don't get in the way." Well, I got in trouble and I got in the way, but it was necessary trouble.
I'm telling you, I'm not certain. Was that Vaughn? Was that you, Vaughn?
Yes.
Vaughn, was that you?
Yes.
Vaughn, that's some big shoes to fill portraying Congressman John Lewis. Was it a lot of pressure?
Thank you, and it was a little pressure because my first year playing John Lewis, I was playing as the young John Lewis. And then this year I was playing as the older John Lewis. So I had to change his character. And since he changed from young to older, so he changed his character also. And now that the quarantine hit, since John Lewis passed away, I had to step up and I had to work hard because I worked every day. I studied every day. I read articles. I watched videos about him to try to actually be like him and honor his legacy.
Phenomenal job. Bravo. I mean, excellent job. There's no doubt about it. Miss Berry or Sheba, did the congressman's passing or anything else that's happened during the pandemic affect the production?
Absolutely, it did. We started this production in December. We were ready to go up in March, a second week in March. And well, you know what happened. So we didn't think we were going to have a show. And then the world changed. And so by the time we decided to go virtual, well, we had an uprising, we had a pandemic. So we had to go back and adjust and rewrite some of the scripts. Sheba had to adjust, you know, our focus. We added another tagline because of the election and the protest. And so, yeah, it had a big impact. The Zora Lawson, when you saw her, that's an example of a change. We didn't have that at the beginning in the regular show, but by the time the George, what was his name? Floyd. By the time George Floyd died, then we could not do a show and not talk about police murder and police brutality. So that was a whole new role that she had to learn. In addition to the fact that she plays in this production, Ida B. Wells, and she had that role already and had learned it, and then she had to learn a whole new script to open the show to sort of give you a context of what was going on. I think most of these kids, many of their scripts changed. So it had a big impact. I mean, we couldn't, it would be ridiculous to try to bring it up and not even acknowledge what's going on around you.
Yeah, and not just John Lewis, you've got vice presidential candidate Harris, you've got Mayor Bowser, you have Tamika Mallory. This is right here. She nails it. Malachi White, I really love these young people and all that you have here. This is something special. So I want to see the role.
I am Congressman Elijah Cummings, and I don't give a darn how you look at it. There are efforts to stop people from voting. That's not right. This is not Russia. This is the United States of America. We are better than this. Sadly, we are still fighting for the right to vote for all Americans. Congress is the federal body with the power to fully restore the Voting Rights Act. And I will fight until the death to make sure every citizen, whether they're Freedom Party, whether they're Green Party, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Republican, has that right to vote. Because it is the essence of our democracy.
Hats off to you, Malachi.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you. I think that is a phenomenal example. Now, what I'm looking at right now clearly is a strong young man. But when I look at the delivery and see you making that, was this your first time? And what was the process like for you, Malachi?
Yes, it was my first time, and it was a lot of hard work getting into character. I had to watch a lot of videos, and my mom made me write at least 3 pages about Elijah Cummings. When I finally got into character, Miss Berry let me say my script at an event for Council Member Trayon White and 2 churches to promote Blacks in Wax. So it was a lot of fun playing as Congressman Elijah Cummings.
Congratulations. I'm telling you, Malachi, you came through. I mean, the leader, the movement, the heart. I met John Lewis again. I got to see Hillary Clinton again. I got to see the phenomenal congressman from Baltimore, lived through you, and I know he was watching. I know he was proud. I know that everyone that loved him saw and loved your performance every time you did it. So we want to say thank you. Ms. Berry, how do you decide who plays who, and how do you bring all of this out of them?
Well, again, everything happens as a process. It's a organic. We have started, at first we just grabbed the kids and said, you're gonna be in Blacks and Wax, it's mandatory whether you like it or not. And that was the only way we could get them to do it, because these kids at the beginning, and still now, many of them who have never done it before, they start with, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I will never do it. You can't make me do it, to what you see on the stage. So these are not professional actors, but we know that they can be and reach whatever goal they need to reach. But as the program grew and we went from like 50 to 60 kids to like 180 kids, I was like, well, this is no longer going to be mandatory, because we don't have a way to, to handle that. So we started having auditions. Now, the auditions actually was to find out who was interested, because they took a script, they had to practice the script, and they would come and perform in front of a panel. And so we always let everyone who was interested be in it. The question is, who would they be, and in what part of the performance would it be? So when you watch them and you know your theme, you start looking, and then it's a given to take it to staff. It's Latita, for all kids, Nikita, West, is we all, Sheba, we all were, oh no, so-and-so, no, she'd be better than that. And we cast like anybody anywhere else. We just cast. And we change like anybody else. We change, we'll cast somebody. I think one kid we cast 4 different roles before we got it right in that same production. So it's a much more organized process now. But the kids, when they come, they are totally committed. And if they're not committed, their parents are, and then they get committed. Because I always tell the parents, do not allow your child to walk away from an opportunity that will change their life because they don't want to do it. And now, I say about 5, 6, maybe like 8 years ago, we'd have Blacks and Wax, and I was always walking up and down the hall, do you know your part? And they would be hiding from me, and it was just, very abusive, which I thought worked very well. And now, because it has such a history, and it's what I call word of mouth, and the kids see the other kids on the board or see them in production, they are much more enthusiastic. And now those weeks right before production, I'm hiding in the office because they are, Miss Berry, we want to see me? Let me show you what I can do. And I was like, oh Lord. So it really has become something that everybody has really, really bought into. And then every once in a while, because they're kids and because they have a very short view of life, they'll say things like, I'm busy. I see somebody over there smiling. I'm busy. I have too many other things to do. I don't think I want to do it. Then I have a conversation and say, why we talk. And then I say, well, what are you doing tomorrow? None. Because I thought you was busy. Sometimes you have to save them from themselves. Say, you got to stick with this. This is good for you. So it's they love it. They love it. And it's so amazing because these kids, none of these kids have ever been in any kind of stage production, not even plays, most of them even at church, but some kind of way it comes out in them and it stays with them for the rest of their lives. The ability to get up in front of thousands of people and perform like that with no fear. They run for office in school. I mean, they beat other people out in competition that requires articulation. So it changes them. It educates them because all of these kids know their parts, but they also know everybody else. So what they know in terms of Black history far exceeds what the average person would know. And that goes for the staff also. I feel like I was like a professor of Black politics or Black history for the whole center. But they learn a lot, and then they find out. I mean, like Zora, she was It was somebody, Zora, who was that you saw and you knew about them because of Blacks in Wax? Somebody you saw recently and you said, oh, I knew about them because of being in Blacks in Wax? You can't remember?
I think it was Shirley Chisholm.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was Shirley Chisholm. And so that's the other thing. It educates, it develops, it inspires, and it entertains. It's a very creative, unique, amazing, magical way to get our story out there and let these kids know that they have to be worthy in their life to the people they're portraying, that these people, you're betraying them because they made some sacrifices, they made some accomplishments, and that's what you have to do. So you had already said that. So, I mean, to answer your question, it's a lot of different ways, but yeah.
Oh no.
And also the funny part about it is sometimes they're not so happy. I've had kids come to me and say, I don't want to be in it because I don't want to be this character, and you know about how that turned out. And then, of course, the worst people to deal with, of course, are the what? The parents. Sitting up there wondering who their kid gonna be this year. So all of that goes on.
No, it looked like Samaya and Jacob, and Vinay, all have had that experience of being busy or remembering those words, but those words will shape the diamonds. You know, hard diamonds have to be cut. And it takes a special person to be able to forge that, and it takes time. And I see in the eyes and the genius. But you stated that earlier, Blacks in Wax started at the Tennis Center, and from there, the Kennedy Center. Where else have you performed?
Oh my God. The White House, the African American Museum, MEAC in North Carolina, Lincoln Theater, Howard Theater, where else? I had a list here somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Can you remember any place else?
She got some other really interesting ones, like the MEAC was interesting.
Where's the list?
Or the, of course, Museum of African American History and Culture. And, you know, we like to surprise people too. So there are things that we do at times when you are being portrayed. Matter of fact, if you have been portrayed as, you know, one of these young people have portrayed you, then you have really come up. A lot of folks are excited to see stuff that they don't know. So we have surprised the mayor. We surprised now
when she says surprise, describe what happened, Sheba.
Well, let's just say what we did with Secretary Lonnie Bunch. I also worked for the Museum of African American History and Culture. So it was our first anniversary, and he was coming up to the stage he was being introduced to the stage at the actual first anniversary gala. And as he walked up, we actually had Jacob, who portrayed him, up and do a piece of him. So he's looking at himself, or this young person playing him, Jacob, you know, upstairs, so he didn't see him. And it amazes him because as they're walking up thinking they're getting ready to say something, this child comes up and becomes them. So we've done that quite a few times.
Great job, Jacob. Ms. Berry, when did you have the idea to introduce scholars to the people that they portrayed? And who else have they met?
You know, that's kind of evolved too, because after a while, it's like, well, first of all, the better they got, you know, that's an honor to be portrayed. So I would reach out, a lot of the people I knew, and I would say to them, you know, you're going to be portrayed. And many of them, Johnetta Cole, Alexis Herman, Mignon Moore, Tamika Mallory, Oprah. Kathy Hughes, Venus and Serena Williams. They met all of them. They were there to watch them to be portrayed. It now it's like people like got an attitude like when am I going to be portrayed? Like you have arrived if you have been a character at the and like I think Vinay met. Well, who all did you meet, Vinay?
I met Secretary Hillary Clinton,
I met Mayor Muriel Bowser, Dr. Julianne Malveaux, Miss Virginia Ali, and Miss Yolanda Caraway.
What? That is phenomenal. Excellent job, Danae. Excellent job.
You.
You're welcome.
And they've met, they portrayed and met Cicely Tyson at the school that they opened up in East Orange, New Jersey, the Cicely Tyson School of Acting and Drama. Dr. Hyde used to be a regular. We have a lot of her stuff. We have several of her hats, and we portray her every year, one way or the other. And she has always been, matter of fact, her last public appearance before she died was at the Blacks in Wax program. And that we were still at the Southeast Tennyson Learning Center. We hadn't made it to the Kennedy Center yet. So Donna Brazil, all of them. Michael Eric Dyson couldn't even believe his person. He looked like him and acted like him. And he was Hispanic. So they've all met a lot of different people. And I think that also enhances them. Samaya?
Yes.
Who have you met?
Actually, I did Blacks and Whites for 2 years, and both years I portrayed Tamika Mallory. And I got to meet her, not at the show, but at the gala. She kind of caught me before I seen her. She introduced me on the stage, and after I was just walking, and she pulled me to the side, snapped my phone, and took a selfie with me. And I was like, oh, okay. But I've met other people because of who my friends have portrayed, so I get to meet other people as well, not just who I portray. So.
Yep, like they met Oprah.
I didn't meet her, but it would be good.
Well, we've been open for 20 years, so that was another group of people. They're all grown now and finished college. But Go on.
Well, no, you kind of saved the best. We kind of went through that in relevant times, but I was going to ask Samaya, since you portrayed Tamika, what have you learned about the movement?
I've learned how important it is, even though I'm not old enough to vote. I feel like I have to do this well because I can inspire somebody who is old enough to vote, and without even protesting or getting out there, but me just doing this can help other people, and it's helped me understand how important everything is that's going on. So I need to, even if I'm not voting, I'm out here letting people know what's going on and how they can help too.
She said she wants to be a protester. I said, well, you can do that now.
Yeah, an activist. I can do that now.
Yeah, activist. Yeah.
She is doing that now.
Did we show her clip?
We have not. We're waiting.
Okay. I know you're tired. I know you're frustrated. The system fails us over and over again. Even with the Black president, we suffer. So why should you vote? It won't change a thing, right? Every election, we are reminded of those who've died just to give us the right to vote. And to some, that history is just that, history. But ask yourself why there's such an attempt to rob us of our voting rights. If it didn't matter, why do people spend millions of dollars to suppress your vote? I suspect the people in power don't want us Black, brown, or poor folks to vote is because they know that if we really understood our collective power, they'd have none.
Beautiful. Excellent job. Excellent job.
Let me ask you guys, since you're having so much fun here, what kind of impact has Blacks in Wax made on you? How has it influenced you? Malachi, I see you have your hand up.
I realized how much, because of Blacks in Wax, I realized how much I like acting.
Really? Zora? You're on mute.
Because of Blacks in Wax, I've learned a lot of different characters and learned of their history. And I've learned I just like to act and speak out.
Renee?
Because of Blacks in Wax, I've learned more about Black culture, which is a part of my identity, because in school I'm not really taught a lot about Black culture. Therefore, Blacks in Wax has really expanded my mind on Black culture, and it's a really great experience.
Vaughn, do I have to call your name? You're sitting right there.
It taught me that since we're doing Blacks in Wax, it taught me how important it is, like the Black culture, because all these people that we're portraying, we're here for them because of them. So now I know how important it is that we portray these characters.
Jacob?
What Black and White taught me that, first of all, it taught me that I can public speak perfectly, like I can do that, and also it taught me that my past can be my present, or my past is my future. It leads me. I need to know my past so I can excel and see if I can change the world to make it equal for Black folks in America to these days.
Now, what are some of the other characters you portrayed? Name some of the characters you portrayed, Jacob.
I portrayed Chuck Brown, Roland Martin, Muhammad Ali, Lonnie Bunch, Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I wanted to say something, if I could, because this is probably the first time, well, obviously this year, Blacks in Wax, first time we did it as a recorded piece. And so there was a different process. These young people had to do their pieces in front of a camera. They didn't have the feedback of an audience, which they generally do have. But also, I think it's their first time right now in seeing these clips, seeing when you were in front of a green screen, but now you see what you look like and what we've been able to do as you're actually portraying. Anybody have any thoughts on what that feels like when you see more of the production coming together? Zora?
I saw that the background was very inspiring because I got to see what it looks like, and what I was talking about was behind me, so it was very inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to talk? Okay, Malachi.
In the background, I saw first of all how Elijah Cummings was trying to stop people from trying to suppress people's votes. It wasn't right. I saw other people suffering because of the people who just wanted power. I just think that it's not right to just abuse. It's not right to just steal their vote from them. If you're gonna steal anything, then at least let them vote.
Anybody else want? What about you, Samaya?
It was different. Because I didn't. It took me a while actually to do it because at first I didn't plan on doing Blacks in Wax. That's why Miss Berry called me out when she called me and told me that I had to do it. So I had to learn a new script in one day and get up in front. It was easier though because I wasn't, I didn't have to go on stage or anything. I was just in front of a camera with a little bit of people that were in there. So it was a good experience and it was different.
But now you had already played, you already had the script for Tamika Mallory in the regular performance. So we were asking you to do it for the virtual, and then that's when you had to have a whole new script because as I told you, Munson, we had to change everything. That script that she did is like the script that she did at first, we had to wiggle with it a little bit.
Well, John Lewis said he
speeches. Oh, I'm sorry, Munson. But I'm saying we're using some of their exact speeches. And as you know, trying to keep up with Tamika Mallory for real, it was when that script is probably already old, but just like I said, it's imitating life.
Yeah, Tamika has been the most elusive of the characters because, like she said, our introduction to Tamika was the Women's March. And then, then it was her exiting the Women's March. And then next thing you know, she's setting the world on fire in Minnesota. And I mean, each time she's, you know, her character is dynamic. She's still on her journey. That's basically what it boils down to. So it got so bad that I just called her one day and said, write your own script. We don't know what else to say. And she did. She wrote it and said, I said, we can't keep up with it. You write your own script. So that's been fun to watch that. Zora, what was your favorite character?
I don't really remember it, but my favorite character was Misty Copeland because I do ballet now, so it's very inspiring that I get to see myself doing something that I never thought I'd do.
How old were you when you played Misty Copeland?
About 3.5.
You don't remember it?
Oh, that's supposed to remember?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Hey, Vaughn, you had something to say.
I was gonna add on to Malachi what he was talking about voting and unfair, because people just like want power and they're making it harder for us to vote since they want the power, because they know if we like not take over exactly, but if they let us vote more, they'll be like outvoted basically, and they won't have a lot of power as they want to have.
Do you guys think you know more about being Black, about the history of our people and the challenges we have because of Blacks and Wax? I can't hear your head way over here.
Yeah.
Does that show?
Yes.
Does it show up in school?
Not
Come up, huh?
Not as much as I like after Blacks and Wax. I didn't really
Not as
understand.
much.
Before Blacks and Wax, I didn't really
Black
understand
history
it.
sometimes.
But in school, once you're in school and you've done Blacks and Wax and you've taught more history, it makes everything much easier. Because now I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. I done did Blacks and Wax. I done been this person, so y'all can't sit here and tell me, because you already know. I portrayed the person, so I know their history, what's going on.
Why do you nod in your head, Benet?
I'm nodding my head because Blacks and Wax, it has taught me so much about Black history. And then it has also reflected on my schoolwork because, for example, last year I did an assignment about Ahmaud Arbery, and I was able to write so much about it because of Blacks and Wax. And it was just amazing.
It helps us grown people too, because like I said, I work for the Museum of African American History and Culture, and there are certain things that I was taught, obviously. I mean, I went in college during, we had Afro studies, as they called them, et cetera. But to go and dig a little deeper and to be able to know more, and also to be able to bring like my experience. I was in the US organization when I was younger. Yeah. So it's like when we did Rango one year, I was like, oh, I can, I know this part here. It's helpful, it kind of helps me bring back up things that I know I was taught, things that are important to me. And you can go through that museum and look and know there are a lot of people that a lot of folks don't know who they are. And I've learned more myself just by, working and being at the experience. We use Mrs. Berry. She really is a good barometer. A lot of times I come up with stuff and she will correct me very quickly on, no, this is what happened and this is why, and, I'm learning, and it's great to never stop learning.
Basically, we're just recording history live. So who do you guys want to portray next? If you could pick any character, who would you want to be? Malachi?
I'd want to play Muhammad Ali.
Well, let's talk about that. Okay. Well, what was the first character you played, Vaughn?
The first character I played was Muhammad Ali.
And see, he wasn't there because he's new. Did you know that, Malachi? So how was that experience for you, Vaughn?
It was, I guess, hard a little because
No,
he
tell
was.
the truth. How hard was it?
It was really hard. So basically, I had to be more furious. How I look, I had to like put a mean expression on my face at all times. I had to be more like stronger, I guess, not in like another way, but like stronger and like I guess my dad, he's from Louisville, so he taught me some of the things that since Muhammad Ali is from Louisville, so he taught me some of the things I didn't understand that Muhammad Ali was saying about his script. And so it's pretty challenging. And one part where I had to come out and say, "The champ is here."
You did that real good. The champ is here. The champ is here.
That was your best part, actually, at first.
Thank you. And I sort of when I first figured out that I was doing that, I didn't really want to do it at all. But then once I got on stage and I noticed how good I was doing it, I wanted to do it more.
No, what happens to explain that statement, Munson, is, I mean, it's like rehearsals, browbeating, all the stuff you do to get to a certain point. And the kids, they hit a wall at about 80%. That's all you're going to get. They put on that makeup, that hair, them costumes, they get on that stage and hear that applause, and then they be like, wow! Like, okay, there they are. So when they get up there, they like that call and response. And so Jacob played Muhammad Ali too. So and every time we did Muhammad Ali for the people, he was a very multifaceted man. He was brilliant and he was fearless and he was courageous and he was funny. But he had a journey that we can all be proud of. So sometimes, the character would be when he would be talking about Vietnam and the seriousness of the stance that he took. Others would be his journey with them taking his title from him. Another would be him being the champ. It just depends, because he had many faces to him. So every time we do that character, we do it from a different era or a different perspective. Why do you want to be Muhammad Ali, Malachi? Why?
Well, I just want to play a character is
not so heavy.
That's good in sports.
Oh, it's good in sports.
Okay.
Yeah. It's amazing to watch. It's fun too to watch these kids grow from year to year. So, obviously we've seen Zora from My People at, 2 years old up to, at when she's always had, I think, really challenging roles, all the way through. But even watching the progress of, definitely watch the progress of Jacob and Vaughn. Vaughn, like we said, his first one was a struggle. I think Vaughn was close to like breaking, like, never mind. But then they come back the next year and they get stronger. And as they grow, like you said, we've got 14 years of this. So obviously a lot of these kids have aged out, but, and some gone on to do obviously some great things. But when they are working from year to year and you've got them for maybe, you see such a growth in 2 or 3 years time. It's amazing how much they learn from each year to the next year.
Well, the best, if you, and I've been asked this often, the most important thing the Blacks in Wax does, the one thing that takes you through life, it builds their self-esteem and their self-confidence. When they get through with Blacks in Wax, they can say and be anywhere, and that takes you to the end. So as they say, if you see them grow and have confidence, and I mean, if you can get up in front of 1,000 people at the Kennedy Center, and then you can perform at the White House and on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, portraying Marian Anderson. If you can do all of that, you can do anything and go anywhere. And that's the best value, I think, that I've seen. I've seen how it has built the kids' sense of self and confidence, because none of these kids are professionals. They just are excellent. There are, for those of you who are out of the area, Southeast Tennessee Learning Center is located in what we call in Washington, D.C., Ward 8. They have 8 wards. So when you think about Ward 8, you think about Compton, you think about Harlem, you think about South Side of Chicago. It's the hood where our culture is very, very vibrant. As a matter of fact, I call us the last frontier. We're still at a point that our culture is very heavy and very, very apparent. I don't know how much longer that'll be. And these kids surpass when they perform, and when they are in situations, the word that everybody comes back with, where are these kids? Who are these kids? These are our babies. They live right up and down the street, around the corner, near the little store. So I'm so proud of them, and they've just blossomed. Does anybody else want to say anything before we leave?
Maybe Malachi's going to be playing Munson. He's channeling you already.
I tell you.
He's going to play you next year, Munson. He's going to play you. He
went and got his hat.
He is a character. What do you have to say now, Malachi?
I'm about to, in order for scholars of SETLC to continue to grow and bring you performances like Blacks and Blacks, support them by going to recreationwishlist.com and donate today. Thank you for tuning in to watch us on Nothing New Under the Sun. I'm Munson Steve. Be great today. Share so. We're rolling out. Peace.
Peace.
You have been blaxed and waxed.
You have been blaxed and waxed.
You have been blaxed and waxed.
Thanks, all of you. You guys are such geniuses. You're intellectuals. I'm so proud of you. You make the world proud. Thanks to Sheba and Miss Berry for coming on and putting this Nothing New Under the Sun. But there is something great. Do not let anyone ever say anything to you that is not true, because you know in your heart you are the best person and the world needs you now and forever until we all leave. So for rolling out, Jacob, Zora, Malachi, what do you say? Tamika?
Sasamaya?
No, I know, but I'm just saying Tamika. Over there, I've got Hillary, I've got John Lewis, brother and sister over there, truly two who work together in Renee and Vaughn. And obviously, Zora, you did a great job, Misty, and Muhammad Ali and Jesse Jackson, who I know will be very proud of you, Jacob. So I can imagine you being a businessman, attorney, civil rights lawyer, you name it, the world is yours, CEO, and all of you. But a special thanks to you, Sheba, and then hats off to you, Malachi, for getting in, and really for all of you who are watching, please donate. And to Miss Cora Masters-Berry, there's nothing new under the sun, but you always put a bright black sunshine in the faces of the world to let us know how great, how brilliant, and how committed we are to ourselves, and to be, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. You do not have to be in the streets. Can y'all say that? You do not have to be in the streets. Come on, one time.
You do not
have to be in the streets. Hold on, Jacob, join us. You do not have to be in the streets.
You do not have to be in the streets.
But you do have to be in the struggle.
But you do have to
be in the struggle.
That's right. And I know that Miss Berry believes that. I believe that. For all of you who are tuning in, this is Munson Steed. This is Cora Masters-Berry. It is truly a pleasure, Miss Masters-Berry, to thank you for what you do, to continue to pour into tons of generations, from Tamika Mallory, obviously, but to Stokely, to all of those women who win, to the very vice president who will be in office soon at the debate tonight. We will all be there. Miss Berry, your hands are on the prize. So keep your hands on the prize. Continue to shape the clay for future generations. We love you. Let her know you love her, guys.
We love you, Miss Berry.
We love
We
you,
love you,
Barry.
Barry.
Love you more.
Love you, love you, love you more. Thank you so much. This is Rolling Out. We'll see you. Nothing new under the sun. Take care. We love you, Miss Berry. And we'll see you next Wednesday here at 8 p.m. There's nothing new under the sun.
Whee!